Well, it was another week and another episode of Strange New Worlds. The new Star Trek show. And yet another episode that's almost a Star Trek episode, but it's tarnished by all the mess. A lot of stuff ahead of it and just how terrible Secret Hideout has been, of course, blah, blah, blah. And at this point, forget about canon. It's not there. They never tried. The only real theories about this, and there's a lot of videos out there of people talking about it, and in a lot of ways it's kind of obvious, although some of them get pretty particular on like First Contact, the movie changed the time of Star Trek, the Star Trek universe, because then you see the ramifications of it somewhat in Enterprise, and then Enterprise had that ongoing subplot that they were going to resolve, and apparently the mysterious man in shadow was Captain Archer from the future. That was the original idea, but they ran out of time and got canceled, so they had to wrap it up. But the temporal Cold War and all that, and then the guy from the future, the agent that would talk to him, flat out said that the Xindi War never happened. That wasn't supposed to take place. Something's going on, and someone's messing with the timeline. So there's all of that to say, certainly there was thinking of rebooting the Star Trek universe, so to speak, moving forward. And there's some things you got to deal with, otherwise you just say the whole damn Star Trek universe is not our future, it's an alternate universe. Which, of course, you can say that about all of the Hollywood franchises and whatnot, because a lot of that stuff just isn't going to happen that way, But obviously the eugenics wars of the 90s and all that stuff, you got to push that even further down the road, in World War III and all that stuff. But one of my theory was that every time someone travels through time, no matter how careful they are, it disrupts the timeline. Because you're someone from the future. When you travel to the past, you're not necessarily supposed to be there. Of course, if time travel is a possible thing, and Einstein says it is. So if you achieve that, especially going into the past, going into the future, sort of the time displacement and space travel and whatnot, that sort of thing, it's certainly possible. But to figure out how to go backwards, where you needed two wormholes and you just connect them together. See, it's as simple as that. Because, you're God at that point. But anyway, no, you just slingshot around the sun and you're good. But once you do it, you can understand the reverberations somewhat. No matter how careful you are, it's going to change things. So that's the theory I'm going with, so that even the first time Captain Kirk and crew went back, that changed something a little. Might not be all that noticeable. And then slowly you can use that to kind of explain things. Like, hey, different starships had different badges. They didn't all have that Enterprise badge. That was just the Enterprise. Now everybody in the Federation wears that badge, that kind of thing. It doesn't really matter that much, but it's one of those aesthetics of the show that you're like, hey, what, this is that, and so there you go. So then we finally get to Kurtzman Trek, which could have utilized a lot of that to explain things quite a bit if they had just addressed it, but they just were not capable of crafting a decent science fiction story, and almost none of it, Strange New Worlds tries, and probably if this had been the first series that they had done, they might be in a little bit better shape. But then, good God, Picard was the death of the whole thing. When that came out and you just Last Jedi'd Picard, what are you going to do? Oh, by the way, I'm supposed to review the latest episode. Telling you stuff you already know. So yeah, this was another one that was almost an episode. It's more or less a Pike episode, finally. It doesn't get to do much though. And of course, my aging brain, I'm blanking on things, but this sounds pretty repetitive, or a bit of a ripoff of Next Generation storylines. But I'm blanking on it. I'm sure other people, Major Grin, could probably fix that in a second. Jeez, it's just he's just a living, breathing Star Trek encyclopedia, and he catches this stuff so fast. Or she, I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, the point is, the basic plot is, Pike, they encounter this culture that is far more advanced than the Federation, and they're not a member of the Federation. But there's a ship that's in trouble, a breakaway group of their society, which they don't fess up to until later you figure out, oh, it's their own people, and it's kind of like a Civil War type situation. Or someone, they broke off from their society for some reason. Oh boy, but they're attacking, so they must be the bad guys. And surprise, they're not. But Pike's old girlfriend is on that ship, and back when he was just a little wet behind the ears lieutenant, he'd had a mission on that world and met her, and they they kind of hit it off, I guess. But I don't know, they hadn't been Skyping since or whatever. But anyway. So he's all distracted because, he wants to get it on with her. And he does. So, at least Pike gets something out of this. And but they got this whole religion about a special boy who has to do this ceremony and whatnot. And it's all about maintaining their society and whatnot. And they have all these floating islands. And it's kind of obvious what the problem is, but nobody else catches on until it's too late. Basically, the kid's going to be stuck inside this machine, and it sucks off his life force and powers their society. And then he's withered away into a little mummy, I guess, because his predecessor, Pike, sees the body as they're pulling it out, and he's like, "Holy crap!" And he tries to stop it, but they beat the crap out of him, and he's unconscious. And then his girlfriend is like, "Hey, come on, it's just the way it is. But why don't you stay with me? I'll make it better." Like, a couple of blowjobs is going to solve all this. No, he's pretty disgusted that they're torturing and killing a child. And but their medical science is so advanced that she says that he talks about his vision of his ultimate fate that he has. And she just accepts that hook, line, and sinker. Said, no, I can see the future. Okay. But she says, well, with their medical science, they could fix that. All you got to do is become a member of our society. And of course, she wants him to stay because she's, got the hots for him and everything. But after seeing that, boy, yeah, he's pretty turned off. He's not interested anymore. So, yeah, no romance for Captain Pike. But, before he found all that out, he did, get a roll in the hay, for a little bit. But after that, it's kind of like, boy, talk about spoiling the mood. So that's the horrible thing about it. The other things that drags it down is just the same stuff. They do stupid stuff. Lady Khan is trying to train Uhura, and she's like being her coach. But at the same time, she's very proud of Uhura. And Uhura figures out their alien language because that's her job and all that sort of stuff. But it's all right. It's not that big of a deal at this point. But I don't know. They just can't get it together for this show. And then there's like CW like dialogue and whatnot, and it's. Ooh. Meanwhile, as I wondered in the previous episode, after the Gorn nearly destroyed the Enterprise and it was badly beaten, but they fixed it up pretty quick, apparently. But during all of that, you would think that Dr. Mbenga's daughter would cease to exist because she's inside her molecular pattern is stored in the transporter, and without the power and it all shorting out and stuff, it seems like that would be lost, But no, she appears, and part of this is these people have the technology to, if not outright cure her, to treat her, so she can live a normal life. And but you're forbidden from our society because we're isolationist bigots and whatnot. And so Mbenga's like, shit. But as a result of what happened, turns out the dad of this kid, and he's acting like he's all cold and all for it, but in the end he was trying to plot a way to fake the boy's death so that he could escape the fate of what happened, but it didn't work. And so as a result, he's like, screw it, here, let me give you a treatment for your daughter, Dr. Mbenga. So I'm guessing after this she'll be able to leave the transporter thingy and live a normal life, at least as normal as it's going to get on the Enterprise with her dad. But Meanwhile, the aggrieved father, he decided, hey, I guess those guys on that other colony were right all along, and yeah, they were. So he's gonna go join up with them. Now, the thing of it is these guys are completely in the right. The planet's a system where they torture these kids for it's just horrible as all get out. And you would think a move that the separatists, I guess they are, whatever, could petition for membership in the Federation. And oh boy, would that create something, you know. But, well, the show didn't think of that. Yeah. So, whatever. It's an episode, but I can't help but think that this is ripping something off. If not Star Trek, somebody else, you know. Odds are that's what they did. You just gotta hire people who understand science fiction, and oh, they cost too much, huh? Maybe that's it. Yeah, it still looks good for what it is. You know, I'll give them that. That's even better than what they've done for Kenobi, which is astounding. But that's about it. Yeah. Anyway, to get over that, I watched an episode of The Orville. Of course, it was leaps and bounds better, but no real surprise there. So anyway, there you go. What was the title again? Lift Us Above All Suffering, something like that. And at the expense of suffering of a little child, apparently, is what they were doing, because they wanted their cities to keep floating, or their little islands, or well, apparently it was all molten lava. You know, you're a space-stage species, move! But, you know, whatever. There you go. Star Trek, Strange New Worlds.